Hello, greetings. So I had this separation from Mr. Shah, and my friend Shahnaz Jawad, what a friend, started to fight with me and say things about my birthday in 1983. So still wondering who is behind all this, how they got the courage, the boldness, the audacity. Cowards. पीछे से वार करते हैं. They stab you from the back. Hypocrites. So you think you have great power from your husband or from my father and his family? Now you see what happened is her one sister left Ali Sajwani, and so for every action there is a reaction. Albert Einstein has said this, and I have to answer to a lot of questions in my mind. And mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all? Her sister in London took my mother's medicine, which she had brought in stock. So you people jealous of others. Even science can prove something, that every action has a reaction. And you think you are very, very intelligent and you've got the world you are standing on top of someone's world and you can trample on them. So her mother went to Masuma, another Masuma, our mutual friend, and said that she's looking for a black magician. Little do I care, because I trust in God. I trust that if you put your hands in evil to harm others, it will one day come back to you manifoldly. Because I was a believer in Shia Islam, and the Quran says, whether proven wrong or whatever, but some of the verses really about justice make sense scientifically, that if you do evil to others, even though scientifically if you put your hand in the fire, you will burn it. Unless you have some siddu, some miraculous powers. So I have to prove that some of the verses of the Quran, like on justice and doing evil, indulging in evil to harm others, can be very, very disastrous in its consequences. And so it's going to be quite difficult, because if my enemy, I have to prove that how they spoil health and things through sorcery, through the mind, the power of the mind, ill will, sending negative energies like we have here, diseases, and also diseases are here. Science knows this. However, there's one mental illness that science has yet to prove, and that's schizophrenia. So all this thing happening, in the brain, and to cure these diseases, which science also knows, like fibromyalgia. But to cure them, there's no cure. And another thing is that for some diseases, yes, there's no cure, but science knows that these diseases, they exist. Sorry, please bear with me. I know this is a recording, but I have to pause it now and then to think about the confusion that's there in me, spellbound. So, like in the movie Spellbound, Alfred Hitchcock's. So there are doctors of law, and there are these psychiatrists. This is also part of science. And therapy is also a part of science. And so to find out about schizophrenia, the doctor goes through asking the patient certain questions. Yeah, so symptoms through all this, whatever the medical term is used. Otherwise, there's no machine to find out that the dopamine in the brain has increased, or what is it called, decreased or increased, or whatever it is that brings these hallucinations. So there's no X-ray to give us this proof, the doctors. So then, they say that, scientists say, but we need a God, we need proof. So discovering, because, people do hurt others. I mean, if scientists, sociology, human behavior, if they study this, then they would realize that, like they've come across, yes, like just recently, Mr. Abdullah Gondal brought to my attention about psychopaths in science. So even science has through all this research and coming across psychopaths have told us that they do exist, but to find evidence for them, we have to really, it's a vigorous kind of a research, we have to really do. The scientists, the therapists, the psychiatrists, and then signs and symptoms showing that they are psychopaths. So I've done a little bit, 2 years of, in St. Joseph's College. My subject was logic, so logical deduction. That's also a part of science, reasoning, and then it goes to philosophy. So it's philosophy was a part of science, I think. You know how reasoning and through logical deduction and the premise. So first, we were told, I think if I may remember correctly, that even the premises of science, were from, actually someone had this thing that an idea or a concept. So it was first an assumption, based on an assumption, and then you deduct the thing, you come to a premise. What's the first sentence? That it is an assumption that from the thought it comes. And so I'm not very eloquent on this. Like I've asked for people to help me. And although religions and all have lots of rules, laws, and it's very complicated, but through Muji Baba it's made easy. You know what Imam Hussain alayhi salam was saying, and what that part was where in Du'a Mashlul, none knows where he is, what he is, how he is, in what respect he is, where he is, but he. So that, and taking Imam Hussein's saying, and then, logically deducting, like, this is how you find the proof. Like, you cannot find proof of something which this existence relies on you, our own. So what is it? It only makes sense. This is scientifically, we may say that it is proven. Muji Baba, in detail and very easy. So no scientist can deny the existence of this, which just is. So on the other hand, mind, thoughts come and we say, like Descartes said that, we think, therefore I think, therefore I am. So that's how, then you find out how what thought has created. Has thought created the I am? Because you see, Descartes said, I think, therefore I am. Is this I am created by thought, or is thought in the I am? And therefore there is something more powerful than thought. The existence, this existence. So if we let's say, if we say that thought is most powerful, then like Imam Ali alayhi salam has said that all conscious minds put together, thoughts of people, cannot comprehend this God. So if all human beings get together and apply our minds to create a world, or even a fly, will we be able to create a fly? Thinking. The existence of a fly. That's what God says in the Quran. That you cannot even create a fly. So, I felt science was limited. Yes, science can create mechanical things, not a human being, not a life, not a fly. Science can animate things. So you see, what thought can create is from these atoms and energy. Who created energy? And the magnetic field, the electromagnetic fields and all this. So this is my lay person's thing. That mind can only create, since I contemplated, mechanical things that can be animated, that can work, like we have this technology. Airplanes, we can travel far. Yes, with telephones, we can talk, communication, travel, and many other things technology has given us. But what is this life that we cannot create through thought? So I felt this is how I thought. This is, well, thinking, yes, I used my mind. And so this is a great thing, that the mind can think in this way God has given us, or whoever has created this mind, that it questions, it can question itself, and it can know that I created this, scientists created this, technology was created by the engineers, or whoever, what we call them, these technology creators. So, and medicine, we have things to, like to, whatever diseases might come, or ailments or health problems, we can we create all these things to heal, treat. But life in the true sense, I don't know who created life. So back to this thing that this mind that has created, through the mind we've created all these things, it can still know that it is limited, and that if this mind is so powerful, Descartes thought that because of the mind, the thoughts, I think, because I think, therefore I am. So who created the mind? That it brings out thoughts. So I feel that Descartes, I usually pronounce his name, wrongly, Descartes. So please forgive me for that. But the main point here is that mind. Okay, I mispronounce Descartes. I don't know French names, how to pronounce them properly. My mind is limited. My thoughts are still, I don't have that much information about all these things. A lot of things in this universe I don't know. So the mind has to learn, right? To learn in this world. It's an external learning. And so all these things, like thinking like this, made me realize that I'm still not, there is this discovering, and growth, definitely, even various my life stages, growing. So there are life stages that grow, there are things, there are lives that end abruptly, like in youth or in childhood or in infancy, or miscarriages. And so what is all this? Like we're discovering, that's good. Like we're learning. And then I had to come across the question of religion, went through religious crisis, tried to find out what the brain was, to learn the brain. So now I'm not in that thing of, eloquence to explain myself properly. So I have these limitations and all. So I see that there are uncertainties, like Dr. Deepak Chopra's help was there in the 7 spiritual laws of success, his book. Like, he says just be with uncertainty, it's okay to be in this doubt, uncertainty, we don't know. So there's uncertainty, and so what, people harming others, like, so I would rather take one thing at a time. Maybe right now, for example, people hurting others. We know that, scientists know, thanks to Mr. Abdullah Gundal, scientists know that there are psychopaths. And they've even labeled them, these kind of people, in this psychopaths. And there are things like, we to define, we know they're psychopaths, they're empaths. But psychopathy has come from the science of mind study. Sorry, excuse me. There's another science of mind study which is called Silva. Okay, that is more like on the spiritual level, metaphysical level. So, scientifically speaking. So then, science says that there are psychopaths, and we live in this world. But it doesn't have, if you harm someone, you will hurt yourself later on. Right now in this world, you can harm people, and then but religion tells us, at least they're saying that if you harm another, be careful, because God has given you the will here, whatever the mind, or this mind that you create, you can power with your mind. You can work evil things psychopathically. But that some day will come when God's day will come. When your will, you see, you die. Imam Ali alayhi salam has explained it. That until you are moving your hands and you're going about moving, you have lots of strength and power right now. Maybe you got the husband, partner even, or group of people to go with you and harm others. Yeah, like that. And so you have, let's say for example, you have a beautiful face and this and that, body, and you have found a Pakistani husband. Like I would, for example, yeah, and you have all that you need, like you did for my birthday. These people, she was beautiful, and so she was even like, she had a hold on Mazhar Ali, the Pakistani dramatist, actor. So she was like, you will not sing in play the the drums. We like in parties or in weddings we have this playing the drum. We have a different drum in Pakistan. With the hands we play it. So you will not do this on her birthday. So they have all this power, right? They thought, okay, at that time, maybe even from the army, this girl, my friend Shehnaz, and maybe at that time even my father's family helped her against me. And they thought, yes. So Imam Ali alayhi salam says that, so then you will all die. You will all die and go into the grave. Then science doesn't know where. Science does not know where the spirit will go. Like right now I have these feelings. You can tell from if I'm angry or upset or a little bit, but you can't measure my feelings in the sense that percentage. Or if I tell you I love you, you cannot really know. Like for example, Karachi American School, no scientist could tell, even Dr. Todd. But there was treachery, but a psychologist will have to question me and all this to know how I love Miss Asteria Disa, how true, pure is my love through, going through some things, tests and all. And then maybe they can at least try their best to come to the saying that I'm not lying about this. Am I lying about this? Is my love pure or is it physical attraction for a woman? I mean, is this lesbianism? So I was tested by my doctor, psychologist in Clinical Institute of Dr. Ferozi Ahmed. And she said that I was straight, that there was no there was no lesbianism in me. So yeah, they have these psychologist tests where they can find out about your personality to a certain extent. They can find out tentatively if you are straight even, or if you are gay, if you have a tendency towards being gay and all these tests are there. They were there in 1985. I was tested and I came out straight. But we can do these things. But I wonder why Ms. Disa would still not come back. And in later on when she met Dr. Ferozi Ahmed, it seemed that they were telling me that they cannot convince Ms. Disa. They failed to convince Ms. Disa that I was straight and that our culture is like this in Pakistan. That it's because this is a pure attachment towards a same gender teacher, pure love. This has nothing to do with physical attraction. So they were showing that they failed to convince Ms. Disa, Dr. Todd, Mr. Horton, the superintendent in Karachi American School. So my Pakistani therapist, Dr. Ferozi Ahmed, failed. First her student, Dr. Eva Hassan, who was then Mrs. Eva Hassan. She was a student then. She had done her MA and she had joined. She was doing her PhD in psychology in Dr. Farrukhsi Ahmed's clinic, Institute of Clinical Psychology. Right? She took my test. It came out that I was straight. And she also knew at that time that who I wanted to marry, who I loved, the boy I loved, the boy I wanted to marry, and all this. And even took a test. And then Dr. Farrukh Ahmed has seen Miss Asteria Desa in her office, in her PECHS, where I used to go, clinic. So they were saying that they failed. And Dr. Farrukh Ahmed was saying, she told the Karachi American School over the phone, they called her and she said, no, it is our culture, and that she is straight. But Karachi American School refused to take Dr. Farrukh Ahmed's evidence and word, a PhD from Stanford University. And in her time, like many, maybe in the 1948 or that year, she, like 1950, she completed perhaps, I don't know which year, but she's a very, very, very old woman. Okay, sorry. Yeah, so then Karachi American School failed to accept a PhD doctor's evidence. This is a great mishap. Where is Dr. Todd? Dr. Todd, Dr. Farrukh Ahmed said, was under her. She was studying then. She had come to Karachi, an American, whom the Karachi American School sent me to, about Miss Desa. My relationship with Miss Desa, who said this relationship was unhealthy. So Dr. Farrukh Ahmed studied in Stanford University, and my test had come clear. So what was the problem with the Karachi American School? Oh, this is my case. I'm going to share this on my Facebook group case, open case of against Karachi American School. And so I have all these things because of my case, my life. How can you prove the existence of the universe? Something that existed, doesn't have a beginning, doesn't have an end. How can you prove with our limited mind, which we're still discovering? We still don't know whether it has an end or thoughts can go on, and we can be tricked to think that thoughts never stop until death comes. Then is there anything that survives after death, or is it, okay, the body becomes emotionless, doesn't breathe, breathing is gone, everything. So there was life. Does this life, body is there, but now we can't feel life in the body. And so, do we know where this, if there is on another life, like, how shall I say, a place, does this life, is this body only like, is there only material existence, and this life, this thing in us, still science has to prove, but has failed. so many years. After so many years, such advanced technology is made that we can communicate from such vast distances that now there are no distances left, because you know what I mean? Through the phone, and if you have certain things like a Wi-Fi, a phone, a line, landline, a phone line, then you can reach someone. If they have a phone line, video conferences, you can even see them. But it is all through a screen and audio communication and all. But through screens and all, although we cannot touch each other physically, I wonder if we will be able to do that. So physically we're not able to. Voice is heard, but physically, now we have live streams. So, but physically, the flesh, we are not able to touch ourselves. Each other through distance. So there's physical distance still, in the sense that we are unable to touch each other's hands and all this. Greet each other with a kiss or a hug. So this is there. And then who is going to put all this thing in proper sequence? God knows. So mine is a very crazy, haphazard way of finding out. I'm still discovering. I don't want to be those dogmatic type people, believers, they call themselves, who reach to a conclusion that God exists because someone has told us. But if a faithful person calling us onto faith, how bad is it? That let's say if someone came and said, there's an atom. I cannot prove this, but there is something in it. It's a very, very powerful energy. So, things like that, right? And so, the eyes cannot see. And there are many things, like we have X-ray. Scientists should know this, right? That there's something more powerful than that. It goes on like there's a more, till it is so small that we cannot even see. Or it's not small in the sense that small, but how can we describe it? But it is the most powerful. It's so powerful. Like these atoms and this, we can't see them, but they have power in them. So how would you say this? Right? So we say that, back to that thing that, now they have all the power and military and big people influential with them. And they were saying that we're going to separate you from Mr. Sa. And so do you think that God would, two people, you separate two people, you hurt two people, you break their hearts. Do you think that if science doesn't have proof for something that one day, these oppressed people, crimes, doctors of criminology, a social worker, sociology and all this, like we have crimes in society. So this was also a part of science, to find out how many times this crimes, what is crime, and all this. And then someone has, they've broken our hearts and they've given us all the sufferance, and they think they're going to get away with it. And then there comes a time when, the bodies will be lying dead. No one, and then they will be dependent on someone to pick them up, and perhaps whatever their religion asks for, rituals or. So I wonder what happens to the scientist's body. How would are they any atheists, any scientists who are Catholics or Protestants? I wonder. Not all scientists are atheists, right? So when you die, what is the most healthy thing to do to your body? Should it be kept on the floor, right, until it rots itself and all this? Because all this technology science has given us, and also what is healthy and unhealthy in the environment, environmental scientists. So how to, so what would they say? Somewhere the body has to go, dead body. And then, excuse me, that was a vibration, message or notification, if you heard it in the background. So what is all this? Where I'm going somewhere, I want to prove to you that we need to take these things very seriously. Hurting people, hiding evidence, all this. Science is not complete, and so no matter how much we may achieve and go forward and advance in these technological advancements and things materialistically, but there has to be some humanitarian work. Like, if you hurt someone, like this fame and everything, but if you hurt someone, no matter if you are the greatest scientist, that you're like Abdullah Gondal was saying, let's suppose if this psychopath who spread, let's suppose if there was a psychopath, a scientist well known, how would you feel, right? Our humanity now in this horror movie, it is the most horrifying movie, like Brian P. Grossi says. And they were showing me horror movies. Mutahar had come to my place for a week or so, and then she got possessed. So maybe, you can even have ghosts coming in. And what would we say to ghosts in science? Some epilepsy, some fits. What would we say to epilepsy? Yeah, so they have epilepsy. I don't know what they would call these ghost possessions. And what would you do if the same person who is killing the people with coronavirus has the cure for it? Like Marianne Williamson is now giving out a video. On Google search, I saw her video and she was the one who participated in this against me, and would you come on, Americans' answer to Abdullah Gundal and me. Marian Williamson. That was a great question from Abdullah Gundal. Yeah, I think I should share his thing here. Abdullah Gundal. What if the coronavirus was synthetically designed by a genetic engineer to infect and kill the weak as a form of population control? The geneticist also has the cure to the disease but refuses to hand it over to anyone. What would your opinion be of such an individual? A psychopath? Now imagine if the scientist demanded all of the world's governments to comply to his demands and him to be adored as the best and most merciful scientist. What would you think of this man? A completely deranged and delusional psychopath with narcissism. Do you realize how God creating and sending this disease towards humanity as a test sounds like? No. God did not create this disease because you see, Abdullah Gundal, until here it was fine. Now he's blaming God. But in our Surah which one is it? Surah 31, Surah, let me find the verse and I'll give it to you. I'll just pause here for, hello, yeah, so I cannot find, I'm finding Wikipedia and then the Arabic and all this, sometimes this Google search does a funny thing on me. When I want, they already know English translation. Sometimes it comes easily. So I think it's either Surah Nas or the evil of what he has created. It doesn't mean that God has created evil, but men and jinns of what God has created make evil. See, there's energy, right? Now, there's energy in you. You can take your arm up, slap someone, use your arm for this kind of energy, punch someone. God didn't do that. But you chose. God has given you a choice. God has given you a choice, limited, however, our existence, physical realm is, whatever the human being form, human form is limited. Our energies here, materialistic, is limited. So with this limited, you can hit someone and you can say that God hit you. No, God did not hit me. You see, it's how you use this godly given energy. You can, with your hand, you can touch someone with a healing touch, compassion, affectionately. You can touch someone in a bad way, to seduce them, to arouse them, things like that. So it depends on you. So in Surah Nas or Surah Falak, I think it's Surah Nas most probably, the evil of what God has created, that man does, the evil. So you can use this for the benefit of people, or you can use it as to harm people, against people, right? So God did not create this. God created energy and gave us free will to use it. And so this whole energy, for example, the whole population with you, one person, they will not go with you. You cannot unite a whole army of around the world. They will not come with you, right? So this whole human beings, you cannot, as a devil, you cannot unite the whole world against me. Let's say one person. Let's say if you want to get to one person and you can oppress them, you can never unite a whole army in this. Not every human being. There will still be 2-3 human beings not wanting to sell themselves short to this world. For a paltry price. Excuse me, I'm having my tea. Try as much as you can. You will not be able to unite the whole humanity. That's called humanity. If I'm one person and I have compassionate and kind ways, like in the Quran, Hazrat Abraham was called a ummah, a nation. That would mean humanity. If I was one person fighting against many people because they are doing harm, they are coming to fight me and hurting human beings, then I would be counted as a humanity, one person. So humanity, if you call that, there was one, this thing I read, I have to mention this one. A Turkish author had written this book, Sufi book. Sorry, excuse me, I'm just... So, it's this book of Raji and the Mirrored Didi. I've forgotten the author's name. I have this book at home in Karachi, but they must have thrown it because we had to kind of empty the house, clear out to sell it. So I think in the end the message is humanity. And God, if you feel that you see, still humanity, what constitutes a humanity? What constitutes humanity? Sorry, not a humanity, but there are other beings here, and so they all count in the sense that creation of God. It's a creation of some divine power, intelligence. Intelligence in the sense that, no, he doesn't work through the mind, through intelligence. His or for us to understand. He just says what his power is, our minds will never understand. Because if they did, everyone put together, every human being's mind put together, we could disappear. We could create another world. Right now, humanity is suffering because of coronavirus. And we can't do anything much, but just that to protect ourselves. Science doesn't have a cure for it. So, Anyway, so we are here in this world. Should you even blame our existence? Okay, forget God. Find out why we exist here in this terrible world. Don't blame God. Then who to blame? The religious people, the truly religious people. I'm talking about all truly religious, Jewish, doesn't matter who you are, a Protestant, Christian, Hindu, would never harm anyone, knowing, because they know that a higher energy power exists. And were we to harm people, it's not about belief that this person is not a believer if that person may be a believer, because that scientist, that person that doesn't want fame, is not harming people, is making medicine, okay, is working limitedly, but we all are working in a limited form, even in our belief in God. So as individuals, believers, true believers would never harm people. They're always working for the benefit, trying to tell people who are being harmed by others that giving us hope. Like now we have this hope that some cure will come out. We have, you see, this future. We are hoping that scientists are going to give us a cure for this. So then I could reread again that the cure could come from this cruel person. What if a psychopath made this, right? So think of it in these terms, that it is not God's fault, not God's punishment. It's that a psychopath scientist wanted to, let's look at it this way also, make this to decrease the population. That's what we were told. I've read in books that America has wanted to decrease the population of the world. And the New Order has been trying as the New Order. And there are these secretive powers, American. So, like you can look at it in ways that if the religious scholars are saying this is a punishment of God to humanity, but Abdullah Gondal is looking at it from only one point of view. So, and not the point of view that there are, like, God does not create evil. That this was, I think, this message is just to answer the mullahs of Pakistan, or those who are saying that this is a punishment from God to us, humanity, and all this. But I don't know. What if a psychopath did this? And we have reason. Do we have reason to believe that, yes, a psychopath can do this, especially an American scientist? Because I've been reading, I've known this a long time, that they want to reduce the world population. They want to kill lots of people. the superpower America. So, but you should not, if the Maulvis say this, then it's not God's fault. And but God did say in the Quran, pray for many destructions. And I don't know about the Quran, but I know that you may call me, if you want to define me, I believe in a superpower of not America as a superpower, but God as, there is definitely a supreme power. So, like America right now, we're stuck with American superpower, having the military power and things to do whatever they like, reducing the world population, things like that. Okay, an hour has gone, and I'm going to, with due respect to Abdullah Gandal, he's very eloquent and he knows his stuff. So, very good, very good. It was really good to hear him talking with Abdullah Samir, and another believer is, he calls himself, I forgot his name, sorry. So that was a great conversation. Very, like nothing rude, or there was little going, maybe a little bit of the thing was there, showing that, both the sides were in a good conversation, good debate, but it was a very well designed. Yeah. Thank you so much.